This is ESBR Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by Niall as we are looking ahead to what could potentially be next for the destroyer Conor Benn after he won on his Las Vegas debut against Peter Dobson last night, obviously winning unanimously on the scorecards. Basically won every round now, I think it's fair to say. But we're not reflecting on that fight anymore. We are now looking ahead as to what could potentially be next for Conor Benn. Obviously in February now, still 10 months of the year to go. We could maybe even see him in the ring. I was up to three times potentially. So yeah, we're just going to dissect what could be next for Benn and who we want to see him fight next. Niall, thanks very much for joining me, mate. Well, we'll do it this way. I'll maybe just throw a few names. Obviously, there's quite a few that you'll probably expect, and there's been names that have been thrown about of late for Conor Benn. But yeah, after you tell me how you're doing, the first name I want you to dissect and analyze is Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. next.
I'll be honest with you. We mentioned in our reaction video, I do think that fight will be next. I think it makes sense. If it makes money, it makes sense. And they were meant to fight before, and it has so much history. But I have to be honest, the history aspect, the family history, and the build up is the only reason I'd be interested in this fight. To be honest, I don't know about yourself, but I just had no appetite for this one. I don't know why. It's just Eubank is too big. Eubank is a middleweight, a super middleweight. Conor Benn's a welterweight. I've no interest in it. It's a lose for Eubank really, and I don't want to see this nonsense of him getting dragged down to catch weights and being diminished. And yet I don't think Conor Benn can jump up to 160 and be successful. But I just had no real hunger for that fight. And I don't mean to be too negative on it, but that's just me. It'll be a great spectacle and I will watch it. But if it was to happen and Eubank wasn't diminished so much at, say, a catch weight, I think Eubank is too experienced and too skilled for him anyway. I think fundamentally he's just too solid and he's too durable. You can take anything that Ben has and weather the storm, and I think he probably stopped Conor Benn. But yeah, I do think that that will be next. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't next.
Yeah, interesting one, mate. I think seen so many interviews over the last few weeks and months of Eddie Hearn wanting to make the fight. Callum Sarland obviously wants to make the fight. Ben seems to want it. Eubank seems to want it as long as the money's right and the weight is on his terms after what happened in October 2022. So yeah, we'll see, mate. I think I completely agree with what you said, mate. Although on paper it's an attractive fight in terms of the name value and outside of Joshua Fury, are they the two biggest names in British boxing? Probably. They're definitely up there anyway. So there is massive appeal for that fight. It is a big pay-per-view fight. But it is a welterweight against a big middleweight, some maybe perhaps even a super middleweight if he goes back up. Like that's quite a big difference. We're not sitting here talking about, I don't know, your average welterweight talking fighting like a big middleweight. Those conversations we're not even having. It's just because of the Ben and Eubank name, which is understandable. Money, makes business sense and money talks, of course. So yeah, we'll see, mate. I actually don't think we'll see it next. I hope we don't see it next. Um, I wouldn't be fussed if we never saw it. Again, it's not. I agree with you stylistically. I think that's a fight that Eubank Jr. can win comfortably as long as he's not weight drained. That is the long and short of it. The next name I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to throw at you is Conor Benn against Kell Brook. Do you fancy Special K coming out of retirement at all, or do you just want to not want to see that fight one bit?
This again, not to be negative, but this is a fight that I definitely don't fancy, probably even less than the Eubank Jr. fight, to be honest with you. Yeah, Kell Brook is retired for good reason. He's done it all, and I wouldn't want to see him come back and probably get stopped by Ben. Probably get beat up badly and stopped in a fight that he probably would have outclassed Ben comfortably in his day. But I just don't think that Ben should be kind of hunting that fight either against the retired Kell Brook. I don't see it. And of course, I was a big Kell Brook fan during his career. I'd hate to see him come back and get hurt. God forbid, he came back into the ring and got injured for for nothing really against Conor Benn. I wouldn't want to see it, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if that was next either. There's been a lot of talk about it. whether Kell Brook was to come back and fight either Benn or Eubank. But yeah, I've no appetite for that fight, unfortunately. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see it still. I think Ben knocks him out at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to dwell on it too much because it's the fight I just want to see least. I'd rather see the Eubank fight, to be honest with you. I just happy that Kell Brook got his moment against Amir Khan. Just leave it at that. You know, you were world champion, you've made millions, you beat your bitter rival at the very end of your career, and you hung the gloves up. Leave it at that. There's no need to come back and fight Conor Benn, in my opinion. So I totally agree, mate. This one's the one I'm most excited about. You know what's coming next, Now You know what's coming next.
I do.
What what about Conor Benn against my boy, the Belfast man, the Lewis Crocker?
I love it. To be honest with you, I love it. And I think that's the fight you want. That's the fight kind of I'd love to see next. I just think stylistically it'll gel so well. I think it'll be all out violence. There's no way it couldn't be violence. Two really fan friendly styles, and yeah, it'll be a hard one to call. And I know a lot of kind of more casual fans have picked Ben as a favorite, but I'm not even saying that for our bias towards Lewis Crocker. I think Lewis Crocker could absolutely beat Conor Ben. I don't think the chances of it happening are slim because let's face it, they're not going to let Conor Ben fight Lewis Crocker. It's more of a dangerous fight for Ben than it is Crocker. But if that was to happen, I think it'd be outstanding. To be honest with you, that's yeah, a bit of a dream fight for us. But I just think yeah, it'll be toe to toe. It'll be in a phone booth, and if I had to make a prediction, I'd pick Crocker to beat him. And I was gonna ask you as well what you'd pick, but I think we all know what you'd pick for that one.
Yeah, mate. I mean, it's a fight again. Everything you said there, I agree with. There's no way it happens next. There's no way it happens in 2024. I don't think. But I'd love to see it. It's a compelling fight. It really is, as you say. Phone box stuff. Won't have to go looking for each other. They know where each other are, and someone will get stopped, whether that be Crocker or Ben. Nobody. That's not going the distance, in my opinion. I obviously agree. I think the Belfast man. I think the Croc would stop him. I think people will begin to realize how good Crocker is after that Felix win, and then depending on what he does next, I think the not British fight fans at least will be on notice as to how good Lewis Crocker is because he is kind of a well kept secret still. But hopefully we see his coming out party. Just before we finish
Yeah.
up, mate, I wanted to throw one more name at you. Again, I don't think it's likely to happen, but it's a fight I'd like to see. I saw Josh Kelly fight David Avanesian in what was meant to be a step up, and he came unstuck. What about Conor Benn stepping up and fighting David Avanesian?
Well, yeah, great fight. I thought for a second there you were going to say Josh Kelly, David Avanesian, which is another kind of possible out there shout that I didn't think of. But David Avanesian is another great shout. He's not world level. He won't beat world champions or the elite of the division. But if you're not ready for that step up, he's gonna find you out big time. As you say, it happened to Josh Kelly, happened to Leharaga. He's a quality fighter. I'd love to see that again. I think it'd be all action while it lasted, but I think Avanesian would beat him. I think he's just too experienced, too technically sound and clever, hits too hard. But yeah, if that was to happen next, I wouldn't complain either. It's a great fight. There's a lot of good options out there for Avanesian too. There's Avanesian Crocker as well, which we mentioned on another video, which could be a good show too. But hopefully, yeah, I think Avanesian deserves a big fight, and that'd certainly get the juices flowing. I'd love to see that one. Yeah, great shout there.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I want to see that fight as well. Is there any others that come to mind here before we finish up that you would maybe like Conor Benn to see Conor Benn in with?
Yeah, just to finish up, I'm gonna throw in who I'd actually love to see Conor Benn fight next, and it might be an out there shout, but I've just thought of it in the last couple of days, and especially looking at the rankings. But there's a man who holds two top 10 rankings with the welterweight rankings now at the minute, which is crazy to say. But Adrian Broner still ranked top 10 with the WBA and WBC at welterweight for God knows what reason. And I think him and Conor Benn the build up would be iconic, first of all. It'll be an all-time great build up with the trash talking. And it's a winnable fight for Conor Benn. Very winnable fight for Conor Benn. As you mentioned, we're not talking about world level fights, yeah, for Conor Benn, but we can get him a top 10 ranking. against Broner. Why not? It's probably the easiest way to get into the top 10 to fight Adrian Broner. But it's also a very winnable fight for Broner. So yeah, the build up alone. I'd love to see Conor Benn fight Adrian Broner next, and I think yeah, it'll make sense. I wouldn't complain about seeing that at all. Get Broner. I was going to say to the UK, but who knows with Conor Benn. But yeah, Conor Benn back to America. That's what I'd love to see next. Benn and Broner.
Mate, I that's a great shout. I would love to see that fight. I think what you mentioned there, I think it actually there's a chance this could happen. I'm not saying not with any confidence, but it definitely could because, as you said, they're top 10 with two governing bodies somehow. Winnable, very winnable fight for Ben. Makes a lot of money. The build up would be brilliant. You can market it easily. Yeah, mate. You know what? I'm all in for Ben against Bruner next. But yeah, we will see, guys. Let us know in the comments who you want to see Conor Ben fight next. Is it any of the names we've mentioned, or is it somebody else? Do you think? How do you think he fares in those fights we've mentioned? Let us know your thoughts and what you think Conor Ben should do next. Niall, thanks very much for joining me as always, mate. Really enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you again soon.